Hello and welcome back to my channel. Oh my God. I have so much swag with me. I have a lot of plushies with me. Obviously, we have Agent Cody, we have Flo, we have our mascot Max, and we have Ruth with me today. Um, but yes, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandon Tomesco, and I am a MuleSoft mentor. But before we get into the content of this video, I'm going to do a quick snap of my fingers to cue a photo collage of me at Dreamforce. All right, this is take three, and now I'm having my comfort bags with me. But ultimately, as we can see from that video montage, I had a blast at Dreamforce 2025. I do want to give a huge, huge, huge shout out and thank you to Shivani and Audrey. Shivani basically took me under her wing, and I think did more stuff at this Dreamforce 2025 than I probably would have if I was by myself. So pretty much the theme for this Dreamforce was community. I was really involved, active, doing stuff with the MuleSoft community, whether that was with individual muleys themselves or going to events specific to MuleSoft and such. Um, but overall, very fantastic time. I need to work on not saying That's one of the reasons I've re-recorded this video a few more times. So, besides community, what else did Brandon do? Well, I went to Dreamforce 2025. I did a handful of workshops. I did a handful of sessions. I went to two keynotes, the main keynote and of course the MuleSoft keynote. I also watched online the education keynote just because I work with higher ed clients specifically. And overall, a lot of the things that I've seen, I heard, not seen, well, I saw too, at the main keynote and the MuleSoft keynote were fantastic to see. Within the main keynote, because that's what kicked off Dreamforce 2025 for me, caught myself trying to say, was just all the reimagining and rebranding. We're now moving to more of an agentic enterprise, which was announced. We've sort of rebranded all the main clouds. So Sales Cloud is now Agentforce Sales, Service Cloud is Agentforce Service. So a lot of rebranding and reimagining, where my focus was with the rebranding and reimagining of Data Cloud. Data Cloud is something that I've been playing with, working with since Trailblazer DX 2024 when I first was introduced to that, and seeing how it's evolved, seeing what's under the Data 360 umbrella, which included MuleSoft and in the future will include Informatica potentially, is what the main keynote was showing. All very fascinating stuff. The announcement of new Agentforce items. I was more focused on the developer one, which was Agentforce Vibes, just because in my own weak point is I know Apex, I know JavaScript. I know some of the ins, some of the outs of it. However, I still need help in seeing Agentforce Vibes. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Is it perfect? It's questionable. I will say that much. Even for myself, coming as someone that may not know Apex very strongly, when I went to go do some of the workshops involving Agentforce Vibes, I did take the time to read the code that it would sort of spit out to me to make sure I was understanding it correctly. Was it doing something that I commonly saw, whether it was in Trailhead doing some of the modules and everything. And for the most part, some of it did match to tooth and nail or tip for tat, however we want to go with that. There was some new stuff that I was intrigued by, and I wanted to make sure that I look into it before I'm like, yeah, this is going to be 100%. And then I did get an instance where there was, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, uh, select statement within a for loop. I've always been told that that's not best practice. It was a very interesting thing to spit out. I also was like, this is a very generic use case, so maybe they just did that for this generic use case and hoping that people would not look into it. I'm not entirely sure. Uh, so that was pretty much the first day of Dreamforce. I went to the keynote, and then with Shivani and Audrey, we went to a bunch of the different demos across Agentforce City. So it was very interesting to see how Agentforce was being applied to several different companies across different industries, like DeVry University, Lululemon, Pandora was another one. Trying to think of them all at the top of my head because there were a lot. There were about 17 total demos that we went to. It was very interesting to see how Agentforce was used across them, whether it was a different agent pertaining to advising, or a sales agent, or a service agent that was helping you across these different industries to get you a very customizable or personable approach. It did not necessarily always feel like we were talking to a chatbot or an agent. It was just, to me, it was very interesting to see. I also love to see how other industries are doing things because then as a higher ed consultant, I could see like, well, that worked. I saw something similar to that with a Lululemon demo. Maybe we can try to tweak this and modify it for higher ed purposes. That's how I kind of function when it comes to these demos. The next day, I went to a lot of workshops. I also tried to go to a handful of well-architected sessions as well because I was very intrigued by that. Well-architected did relaunch during Dreamforce 2025, which is fantastic. So far, I've loved seeing what I have seen on the website. I also love seeing some of the best practices that I've seen in some of the sessions. And the part that I enjoyed this about some of these conversations is that AI was now included in this. Before, when I went to some events pertaining to Agentforce or AI, they weren't always included in architecture or best architecture practices or how to include it in your solution design. And for me, that was always concerning because then it's like we're running with our heads cut off when we're trying to implement Agentforce or AI. Is it truly included in the solution design, and how are we including it in the solution design? So very interesting to see. And with the workshops, I went to go play with Agentforce Vibes. I also went to go play with MuleSoft Vibes as well to see how that was also working in comparison to Agentforce Vibes. And it's the same thing. But with MuleSoft, I actually do know MuleSoft, how it works, a lot of the functionality, especially when it comes to flows and building those integration flows and everything. So I wanted to see what it was spitting out. Is it perfect? Not entirely. However, it gives you a very good starting position, which is fantastic, especially for a developer when you have a large project and you have a starting point already done. And all you really have to maybe do is just tweak a few changes. To me, that is still a like huge lift. And I'm gonna continue to hug Max because he's my support buddy right now. And I also went to Dreamfest. I focused on Metallica. I have been a Metallica fan. I was literally the kid, teenager that went through an emo phase. I'm being honest here. I grew up with Paramore. I grew up with 21 Pilots, We the Kings, Linkin Park. So Evanescence, I'm gonna keep naming them all. So I really wanted to go to Metallica, and that was fantastic. It was fantastic to see that they also played music from their earlier days instead of their newer music. I love both. I was just like, I want to hear like Enter Sandman and all that. So. Very, very happy with Metallica. I was rocking out all night. And then the next day, the last day, was very MuleSoft focused. I went to an IDP session presented by Shivani and Audrey. Very interesting to see how IDP is used within the healthcare industry. And then from there, it was just community bonding for most of the morning. We were all connecting from various different parts of the world, meeting each other again for the first time or second, third at the community event in the morning before the main keynote. And from there, we went to the main keynote, and that was also fantastic. We got to see Agent Force or Agent Fabric announced. We also got to see MuleSoft Vibes announced as well and how they all work and interact with each other. Agent Fabric is something that is very needed, especially when it comes to an agentic enterprise. You have what is it? Agent registry is one of them, and agent registry plays the same as if like if you're an admin within Salesforce, so you know App Exchange, and then within MuleSoft there's Exchange and all these different tools host, whether it's a managed application within Salesforce or within the MuleSoft side, you have assets and APIs within Exchange. Agent registry now does the same for AI agents. So now you have a place for your agents, for reusable agents as well for you to use. And there were three others. The agent visualizer to me is one that's very important. It's also similar to API Manager within MuleSoft, where you're able to manage your agents. You're able to see how they're performing, how they're behaving, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing. You have an orchestration agent, agent broker. And then you have agent go governor or governance. So again, all fantastic things to see. Dreamforce 2025 was absolutely fabulous this year. I will say like Dreamforce 2024 was my first Dreamforce. Dreamforce 2025 is like my sophomore album and it just knocked my debut out the park. And that's all thanks to the MuleSoft community. And again, I'm going to give a huge thank you to Shivani and Audrey because they truly made it a blast. And everyone else that was a part of the MuleSoft community that I met throughout the week. It was just fun. So thank you and take care.